Jaden sat in the second row of his classroom, his fingers tapping on the desk. The Space Academy buzzed with quiet whispers. Today, a new teacher was coming, one they all heard rumors about. Some students said she was strict. Others said she wasn't even from their galaxy. Suddenly, the classroom door slid open with a soft hiss. Everyone went silent. A tall woman walked in. Her skin was pale silver, glowing softly under the classroom lights. Her long white hair moved like it floated underwater. Her eyes were a deep green, glowing slightly. She wore a dark robe covered in strange symbols that shimmered like stars. Jaden had never seen anyone like her. She stood at the front, hands behind her back. Her voice was calm but powerful. "My name is Leora," she said. "I am not from Earth. I come from the planet Solari 3 where failure is not allowed." No one spoke. "I have been sent here for one reason," she continued. "To prepare you, not just for exams, but for what comes after." Jaden leaned forward, curious. What did she mean? "You may have passed many classes before," Leora said, her voice echoing slightly. "But with me it will be different. There is only one rule. Only one way to pass my final exam." The students looked at one another, unsure. Leora's eyes narrowed. "To pass, you must complete my condition, no matter how smart you are, no matter your grades. Without completing it, you fail." A quiet gasp filled the room. Jaden raised his hand slowly. "Excuse me, teacher. What is the condition?" Leora looked at him. Her eyes felt like they could see inside his thoughts. "You will know when the time comes," she said. "But I warn you, it will not be easy. It will not be safe." One of the alien students in the back laughed. "This is a trick, right? A mind game?" Leora didn't smile. She turned and pressed a button on her desk. A large screen lit up behind her. It showed a series of past students, most of their faces marked with the word failed. Only one face showed passed. It was a girl who looked tired, with scars on her cheek and a missing arm. "This is not a game," Leora said. "This is survival." The room fell into silence again. Jaden felt a chill down his back. After class, students gathered in small groups. Some looked scared, some were angry. "What kind of teacher doesn't tell us the rules?" one student said. "She just wants to scare us," said another. Jaden stayed quiet. His friend Zara, a glowing blue alien girl with kind eyes, stood beside him. "She's not like the others," Zara whispered. "I think she's testing more than our brains." Jaden nodded. "Yeah, but why?" Later that evening, Jaden couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the single word, condition. What did it mean? Why did only one student pass before? He decided to return to the classroom. Maybe there was something he missed. The academy hallways were quiet. Jaden moved carefully through the dark, carrying a small light. When he reached the classroom door, it was slightly open. Inside, he saw Leora. She stood alone in the dark, watching a floating screen. It showed old battles, planets exploding, students running through dangerous places. Jaden stepped back, but the door creaked. Leora turned slowly. "You are curious," she said. "That is a good sign." Jaden gulped. I didn't mean to spy." She didn't look angry. She walked toward him slowly. "Curiosity is the first step to truth," she said. "But be careful, Jaden. Truth carries weight." He nodded. She placed a small cube in his hand. "This is a test," she said. "Not the final one, but the beginning. Keep it safe. You will know when to use it." Jaden looked down. The cube was warm and pulsing softly like it was alive. "What is it?" he asked. Leora gave a small smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "That is part of the condition." Before Jaden could ask more, the lights flickered. She was gone. Jaden stood alone in the dark room holding the glowing cube. He didn't know what this condition was yet, but he knew one thing. It had already started. The next morning, Jaden woke up with the glowing cube still clutched in his hand. He hadn't slept much. His dreams were filled with strange symbols, whispers in languages he didn't understand, and Leora's voice saying, "The condition has already begun." He placed the cube in his bag and hurried to class. When he arrived, something felt wrong. The classroom was dark. The windows were sealed shut, and all the desks were gone. Instead, there were glowing circles on the floor, enough for each student to stand in one. Jaden stepped back, confused. Leora stood near the front, calm, as always. "Today is your first trial," she said. "Step into your circle." Some students hesitated. Zara grabbed Jaden's arm. "We stay together," she whispered, "no matter what." Jaden nodded, and together they stepped into their circles. The moment Jaden's foot touched the light, the world around him disappeared. He was no longer in the classroom. He stood alone in a cold, empty forest. The sky above was black, and the trees stretched into shadows. Strange whispers came from the woods. The air was heavy, thick with fog. "What is this place?" Jaden asked out loud, but his voice echoed like no one could hear him. Suddenly, a voice spoke. Not Leora's, but something deeper, darker. "What do you fear the most?" Jaden spun around. No one was there, but the voice stayed in his head. Then the forest shifted. Jaden blinked. He was now standing on Earth, his old school. The hallway was full of laughing students, but no one looked at him. He walked past. His old friends. They acted like he didn't exist. He shouted, "Hey, I'm right here." No answer, not even a glance. Then he heard another sound, his mother's voice. "Jaden, I'm proud of you." But her voice faded and was replaced by another. "You failed, son. You never mattered." Jaden shook his head. "This isn't real." The walls began to melt. The hallway turned to ash. He was falling through darkness. Then the voice returned. "Face it, or fail." Jaden forced his eyes open. "This is a test." Leora said this is a test. He reached into his bag, and the cube was there. It glowed brighter than before. Hands shaking, he held it up. The cube opened, and light poured out, pushing the darkness away. The illusions vanished. The forest disappeared. Jaden was back in the circle. He was gasping for breath. His shirt was soaked in sweat. He looked around. Half the circles were now empty. Some students were still trapped. Others lay on the floor, unconscious. Zara stood nearby, breathing heavily. Her glowing skin dimmed from stress. She had survived too, but others hadn't. Leora stood in silence, her eyes scanning each student. She finally spoke. "This was not a dream. This was your first truth. Fear is your enemy. It lives inside you. If you cannot face it, you will fail. Not just the exam, but life itself." Jaden still held the cube in his hand. It was now cold. The glow had faded. He looked at Leora. "You said it wasn't safe. You meant it." Leora walked toward him slowly. "I meant every word. That was only a shadow of what lies ahead." One student, Corin, shouted from the side. "That's not fair. We didn't know what we were walking into." Leora turned her glowing green eyes on him. "Life never gives warnings, and danger never knocks politely." Corin looked down, defeated. Leora turned back to the class. "Only those who face their true fear can move forward. The rest will watch from the sidelines." Jaden glanced again at the empty circles. How many had failed? He didn't feel proud. He felt changed. Later, while leaving the room, Zara whispered, "Jaden, what did you see?" He paused. "A world where I didn't matter. A world where I was forgotten." Zara nodded. "Me too." As they walked down the hall, the cube inside Jaden's bag glowed again, just once. Faint, but real. He touched the bag gently. Something inside had awakened. This wasn't about school anymore. It was about becoming something more than human, something stronger. And he knew the next test would be even harder. Jaden didn't sleep that night. The images from the fear trial stayed in his mind, the empty hallway, the voice that whispered, "You don't matter." But now, a new challenge was coming. The next morning, Leora stood before the class. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "From this moment, you will no longer walk alone. This challenge requires trust, or failure." She pressed a button. 4 glowing names appeared in the air. Team assignments. Jaden read his team. Jaden, Zara, Corin, Vex. His heart sank. Zara, he trusted. Corin, the loud one who had mocked the fear test. Vex, a silent student who always sat in the corner. No one knew where he was from. He had red eyes that didn't blink. "This is a joke," Corin muttered. "I don't work with weaklings." Leora stared at him. "Then you fail alone." Corin went silent. Jaden walked toward his new team. Vex nodded silently. His face showed nothing. Zara gave Jaden a look. "Stay alert." Leora clapped her hands. The walls of the classroom shifted. Panels opened. A staircase rose from the floor, leading down into the academy's lower levels, a place students were told never to go. "The lower decks are old," Leora said. "Unstable. Forgotten. There is something down there I want you to find. The echo disc." She paused. "Only teams that return with it you will pass." The lights dimmed. The door opened. Zara whispered, "This feels like a trap." Jaden nodded. "Or a lesson." The team entered the stairwell. The door shut behind them. The lower decks were cold and silent. The air was thick. Rusted pipes hissed with steam. Strange. Writings covered the walls. Not human, not even standard alien script. As they moved deeper, the lights flickered. Then failed. Complete darkness. "I can't see," Corin shouted. "I got this," Zara said. Her skin glowed brighter, enough to light the hall. That's when they saw it. A door, half open, pulsing with a dim red light. Symbols around it were cracked. The word echo flashed in faded letters. Jaden stepped forward. The door opened, on its own. Inside was a small chamber with ancient tech, walls humming with energy. In the center floated a small disk, silver, with moving rings of light. "The echo disc," Zara whispered, as Jaden reached for it. Click. A sound behind. Vex. He held a small blade, glowing green, pointed directly at them. "What are you doing?" Jaden asked, backing up. Vex spoke for the first time. "She watches everything," he said quietly. "She doesn't want students. She wants soldiers." "What do you mean?" Zara asked. "I've seen the messages," Vex continued. "Leora isn't just a teacher. She works for the Galactic Shield. They train children for war." Jaden's eyes widened. "So why the blade?" "Because only one team passes," Vex said. "And Leora rewards those who take the hard road." Corin growled. "You're lying." Vex stepped closer. "Maybe," he said. "But are you ready to find out?" Jaden's heart pounded. He looked at the disc, then back at Vex. Then, suddenly, Zara moved fast. Her hand fired a flash pulse. Vex dropped the blade, stunned. Jaden grabbed the disc. Zara looked at him. "Run." They raced back through the tunnels. Corin carried the half-conscious Vex. They reached the top. The stairwell opened. The classroom returned. Leora stood waiting. Jaden threw the disc at her feet. "Here," he said. "Your test is done." Leora bent down, lifted the disc and examined it. Then she looked at Vex, who was waking up, blinking slowly. No one said a word. At last, Leora spoke. Vex was telling the truth. Everyone froze. "He is part of a separate program," she said. "Not a student, a plant." Corin shouted, "You sent him to test us?" "Yes," Leora said calmly. "And you passed, not because you fought him, but because you brought him back." Jaden frowned. "But he tried to hurt us." "And still," Leora said, "you protected each other." She looked at Jaden directly. "That is leadership." Zara stepped forward. What is the echo disc really? Leora smiled. You'll find out soon, mind. Then she turned her back and walked out of the room. The door closed behind her. Jaden sat down, breathing hard. This wasn't a school anymore. It was something else, and they were in deeper than they knew. That night, Jaden couldn't sleep. Vex's words repeated over and over in his mind. She doesn't want students, she wants soldiers. And Leora's calm response, he told the truth. Jaden sat by the window in his small academy dorm. Outside, stars drifted by. The station floated in the middle of silent space. But inside him, noise screamed louder than ever. What was this galactic shield? Why was a teacher training students for war? The cube in his bag glowed again, faint, pulsing like a heartbeat. He took it out. This time it didn't open. Jaden whispered, "You gave me light once. Give me answers now." The cube didn't move. But something inside Jaden changed. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and left his room. The hallways were empty at night. He walked quietly, careful not to wake the others. He wasn't sure where he was going, until his feet stopped in front of the locked wing. The staff archive. Room students weren't allowed there, but the lock was old, human tech. Jaden used a basic override tool from his engineering class. The door clicked open. Inside, everything was quiet and cold. The lights flickered. Ancient screens lined the walls. Jaden sat at the central console and typed one name, Leora Solon. Nothing appeared. He tried again. Access denied. He frowned and typed Project Echo. This time, something unlocked. A hidden file opened, a video. Jaden pressed play. A recording began. Grainy, flickering. An alien battlefield. Cities burning. Children running through smoke. In the middle stood a younger Leora, fighting off robotic attackers, her robe torn, her silver hair short. Then a voice, a human commander, spoke. Initiate Echo Program. Survivors will become candidates. Leora Solon will lead training. The video ended. Jaden sat frozen. The Echo Disc, the fear test, the team missions. It wasn't just training. It was selection. He clicked another file. A list appeared. Zara, status, candidate. Jaden, status, under review. Corin, status, at risk. Vex, status, field operative. Jaden's mouth went dry. They were not just students. They were being watched, ranked like pieces on a board. Behind him, the door slid open with a soft hum. He turned fast. Leora stood in the doorway, but she didn't look angry. She looked tired. I wondered when you'd come here, she said softly. Jaden stood slowly. So it's all true? She nodded. Yes. He clenched his fists. Why us? Why lie to us? Leora walked forward and touched the console gently. The screen shut off. You think I wanted this? She said, voice quiet. I lost everything in that war, my home, my people. I was just a girl when they made me a soldier. Jaden said nothing. I fought for peace, she continued. But peace doesn't last. The galaxy is shaking again. The signs are everywhere. New enemies grow in the dark. The council is blind. So I train those who might survive. Jaden's voice cracked. You turned a school into a weapon. No, Leora said firmly. I turned it into hope. Jaden looked away. We're kids. Leora stepped closer. And yet you've already passed tests grown warriors have failed. He shook his head. We didn't ask for this. No, she whispered. But maybe the galaxy is asking for you. There was silence. Then Leora handed him a small data chip. This is your choice, Jaden. Inside is everything. If you want to walk away, no one will stop you. But if you stay, there's no turning back. Jaden took the chip. He looked into her eyes. For the first time, he saw not just a teacher, but a soldier carrying the weight of many lives. He left the room without speaking. Later, Jaden sat with Zara under the glass dome of the Academy's night observatory. Stars blinked above them like silent watchers. He handed her the chip. She didn't say anything, just nodded. "Do you think we're ready?" he asked. Zara looked up at the stars. "No, but maybe that's the point." Jaden held the cube again. This time it opened without him touching it. A message hovered in the air. True purpose begins when you choose it. Jaden knew then, the next test wouldn't just be about skill or courage, it would be about who they chose to become. The next day began in silence. There was no message, no announcement from Leora. The class sat in quiet confusion. Even Corin didn't speak. Then the floor vibrated. A soft hum filled the air, and the classroom walls disappeared. Jaden blinked. They were no longer in the academy. The floor was now red stone. The air smelled like burning metal. A strange sky, deep orange and filled with ash, hovered above them. Black clouds swirled overhead like smoke from a distant war. Leora's voice echoed from nowhere. "This is your next trial, the trial of heart," she continued, calm but firm. "This test will not touch your body. It will touch your soul. You will see something only you can face, and you must choose what kind of person you want to be." Jaden stood with his team, Zara beside him, Corin looking worried and Vex silent as always. Without warning, the red stone under their feet split. The ground cracked. The team was pulled apart, each of them falling into their own separate world. Jaden landed hard. He stood alone. In a burning city. He knew this place. It was Earth. But everything was wrong. The streets were empty. Buildings were on fire. The sky was filled with sirens and distant screams. Jaden ran through the ruins, calling out, "Mom? Dad? Anyone?" Then, he saw it. A little girl stood in the middle of the road, crying. A wall of fire slowly crawled toward her. Jaden rushed forward, heart pounding. As he reached her, a screen blinked to life on a broken wall nearby. It showed a different scene. His team. Lost. Bleeding. Zara calling his name. Corin trapped under rubble. Vex dragging himself through smoke. Jaden froze. A new voice whispered, "You can save the girl, or save your team. Not both." His hands shook. He looked at the child, then at the screen. One path, one heart, one choice. Jaden dropped to his knees. This can't be real. But the heat from the fire was real. The screams were real, the fear was real, and then something changed. He reached into his pocket. The cube was there, but this time it didn't glow. It simply pulsed. Soft. Like it was waiting. Jaden looked up at the burning sky. He stood, and then he whispered, "I will not choose." He grabbed the child in his arms and ran toward the fire. The heat burned his arms. The smoke filled his lungs, but he kept running, toward the team, toward the screen, toward the impossible. Then everything shattered into light. Jaden woke up lying on the ground, gasping. The classroom returned around him. Leora stood at the center. Zara sat beside him coughing. Corin looked shaken. Vex had tears in his eyes. Leora looked at them, her voice quiet. Many students fail this trial. They choose safety or glory. You chose something harder, to protect without letting go. Jaden slowly sat up. "What was that?" he asked. Leora looked into his eyes. "That was the weight of leadership. You felt it. You carried it. You did not break." Jaden looked at his hands. They still shook. Corin spoke softly. "I saw my brother. I left him behind. I thought I could live with it, but I couldn't." Zara nodded. "I tried to save myself. It hurt more than dying." Even Vex spoke. "I was alone again. like before. But I didn't run this time. Leora walked forward. She held something glowing in her hand. 4 small crystal shards. One for each of you, she said. Not for passing, but for surviving with honor. Jaden took his crystal and felt warmth in his chest. Leora turned to them once more. There is one trial left, she said, the hardest of all, not of fear, not of heart, but of truth. Jaden looked at his team. They had changed, no longer just students. They were something more now, not because they were strong, but because they had chosen not to become monsters. 2 days passed after the trial of heart. The academy halls felt heavier, quieter. Students whispered less. They walked slower. Some hadn't returned from their trial. Others sat in corners, silent, eyes hollow. Jaden and his team, Zara, Corin, and even Vex, had started sitting together. They didn't always talk, but they no longer needed to. A silent bond had formed between them, one deeper than words. Then, early morning, a deep alarm echoed across the school. Not a classroom bell, not a practice signal. This was real. Red lights flashed. Leora's voice rang across the station speakers. Candidates, report to the Central Bay. Final trial begins now. No delay. Jaden's chest tightened. He grabbed his jacket and ran. Zara was already waiting at the lift. It's happening, she said. Corin arrived, silent. Vex followed, holding his side like he'd already been, fighting. When the lift doors opened, they were not met with training halls or holograms. They were met with weapons, real ones. Leora stood near a dropship, flanked by armored guards. Final trial is not inside a simulation, she said. This is not a dream. This is not a test of mind or heart. She paused. This is survival. The students looked at one another, shocked. Outpost 9 was attacked last night, Leora continued. Unknown creatures. 6 guards are missing. No time for backup. You want to lead? Then lead now. A few students backed away, but Jaden stepped forward. What do we do? Leora handed him a beacon. Find survivors, protect the weak, bring them home. You are the test now. Jaden nodded even though fear gripped his stomach. The ship launched. Outside, stars flew by. But inside the cabin, no one spoke. Zara broke. The silence. If something happens to me, take this. She handed Jaden a glowing pendant. It's my family mark. Jaden shook his head. Nothing's going to happen. She smiled. Just in case. The dropship landed on a dark planet. Cold wind. Dead trees. Thick fog. Outpost 9 looked half destroyed. Broken walls, burnt crates, no lights. They stepped off the ship. Then came the sound. A screech. Sharp. Inhuman. From the trees. Vex whispered, "We're not alone." The team moved fast, entering the ruins of the base. Inside, blood marked the walls. A message was scratched into metal. They are smart. They are watching. Then a sound. Movement behind a wall. Corin aimed his weapon. "Wait!" Jaden shouted. A child stepped out. Small. Alien. Eyes wide with fear. Jaden ran forward and dropped to his knees. "It's okay, we're here to help." The child said nothing, just pointed to the shadows. Then, a growl. From the ceiling, something jumped. Fast, black, clawed. It struck at Corin, but Vex tackled it mid-air, roaring. The two fell, crashing into metal. The creature slashed wildly. Jaden fired once, then again. The beast collapsed. Vex was bleeding badly. Zara ran to him. You're okay, just hold on." But Vex grabbed Jaden's collar. "More coming," he whispered. "You must finish this." Jaden's heart screamed, but he nodded. He carried the child. Zara supported Vex. Corin covered. Their backs. The way out was blocked, so they ran deeper into the ruins. Eventually they found a radio room, broken but with one working antenna. Jaden placed the beacon Leora gave him. It pulsed. A rescue signal lit up. Then, another screech. 5 shadows rushed them. Corin fired. Go! I'll cover you, Jaden shouted. No, we stay together, Corin growled. If you don't leave now, none of us get out. Jaden froze. Then Zara grabbed his hand. He's right, the child cried. Jaden held her close and ran. Behind them, the room exploded with light and fire. When the dropship finally landed, only 3 walked out. Leora stood waiting, silent. She looked at Jaden. Well? He handed her the beacon. We brought back the child, he said, voice heavy. Corin didn't make it. Leora looked at the small alien girl. She smiled softly, then looked at Jaden. You made the hardest choice, she said. You understood the real rule. Jaden frowned. What rule? Leora turned away. Leadership means losing things you want to keep. Jaden stood silently, the child still in his arms, Zara beside him. Vex, injured but alive. The test was over, but none of them felt like winners, just survivors. The academy never felt the same after Outpost 9. 3 students returned. 1 didn't. Jaden sat at his desk, staring out the tall glass window. The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside his chest, a quiet storm still raged. Corin was gone. Vex sat nearby, arm in a sling, skin pale. He hadn't spoken since the return. Zara hadn't taken off her pendant since she gave it to Jaden. Even Leora's voice, once calm and cold, now carried something heavier. That morning, a message appeared on every screen in the academy. Final decision. Central Hall. All remaining candidates report. Jaden stood. He didn't feel like a student anymore. He didn't even feel like a boy. He felt in between. Changed. The Central Hall was filled with silence. Just 5 students remained from the original class. Leora stood in the center. Her eyes passed over each of them. You came here to pass an exam, she said. But you now understand. This was never about tests or grades. It was about truth, about who you really are when there is no rule book. No help, and no second chance. She paused. One of you will be selected to lead a future mission. Not because you are the smartest, not the strongest, but because you have the heart to carry others. The students held their breath. Leora turned to each of them. You were all tested. You saw fear. You made hard choices, and now... She stepped forward and looked directly at Jaden. I choose you. Jaden's breath caught. Me? Leora nodded. You passed the true condition. Zara smiled, her eyes wet. Jaden's voice shook. Why me? I failed. Corin died. Vex nearly did too. I was scared. Leora knelt in front of him, and you still ran back for a child you didn't know. You still begged your team to stay together. You still cried for the one you lost. That is leadership. That is heart. Jaden's hands shook. What happens now? Leora stood. Now I tell you the final truth. She raised her hand. A hologram lit up behind her. A star map. Thousands of blinking lights. War is coming again. A new force is spreading in the dark. The Galactic Council doesn't believe it yet. But I've seen the signs. She pointed to one red dot blinking fast. This world fell 2 days ago. No message. No escape. Same creatures you faced. The room grew cold. You are not soldiers, she continued. You are something more. You are bridges between peace and chaos, between power and compassion. Jaden looked at his friends. They weren't just students anymore, they were the beginning of something new. Zara stepped forward. If he's going, I'm going too. Vex finally spoke. Me as well. Leora smiled for the first time. Truly smiled. You were never meant to pass alone, she said. That was the final secret. She walked to a small panel and pressed her hand against it. The floor beneath them shifted. A new chamber opened. Inside was a ship, sleek, silver, glowing with soft blue lights. Not a school ship. A mission vessel. One meant to travel far. Leora turned. It's yours now. You've earned it. Jaden stepped toward it slowly, heart pounding. This wasn't an end. It was a beginning. As the others followed, the little alien girl from Outpost 9 ran up to him. She held his hand tightly. She had no family left, but she looked at him like he was home. Jaden knelt. You want to come with us? She nodded. Leora walked beside him. She's bonded to you. You saved her when others didn't. She is your responsibility now. Jaden smiled at the girl. Then I'll protect her. Always. The ship doors opened. Jaden, Zara, Vex, and the child stepped inside. Behind them, Leora whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Maybe this time, the galaxy has a chance. And the ship rose, engines humming softly, lifting from the Academy hangar and disappearing into the stars. A new story had begun. One no exam could prepare them for. One only heart could survive.